Hello and welcome back to the Bored Whovian YouTube channel. And yeah, today is day 2 of the 14 days of Doctor Who. So this should be going out on the 12th of December, if I've done it correctly. It isn't the 12th of December when I'm recording this, obviously. I'm actually still in between episodes 5 and 6 of Flux. So yeah, I've recorded the other video only about 3 days ago. And yeah, I'm really excited for that series to finish. But instead of talking about Series 13, I'm jumping back to the Christmas Invasion, the very first Doctor Who Christmas special. Obviously, there is technically another Christmas special which people may comment about, which is obviously the Feast of Stephen, which is one of the many parts to the Daleks' Master Plan, where they could just kind of, because it airs on Christmas Day, they just kind of get away from the plot, the really dark Dalek plot, and it's just really Christmas themed. The one where the first Doctor addresses the audience and breaks the fourth wall by saying "Merry Christmas, all of you at home," holding a glass to the screen. But yeah, I thought, first of all, I can't watch it because it's not available to watch, and secondly, it's not really a Christmas special, and it's more thematic if I just talk about all the New Who ones. It's just a real random one. So yeah, instead, let's just talk about everything here. So, the Christmas Invasion. Obviously, this is David Tennant's first episode, so it's a pretty significant one in the whole big story of Doctor Who. The stories you think of as, which ones have the Daleks in it, which ones introduce and get rid of characters, and regeneration stories. And, out of those basic kind of Doctor Who ideas, this is one of them. Obviously, you carry on with the cast from Series 1, with the likes of Harriet Jones, Rose, Mickey, Jackie, all appearing in this episode, which I think really helps this episode. As it obviously has the job of being the series' first Christmas special, so it's got to kind of entertain the family, be kind of fairly light-hearted, while still packing some kind of a punch. And, have some sort of Christmas themes in there. Obviously, it's all about, that family unit, which you have from Series 1. They focus on that, and it doesn't really focus too much on Christmas. It's just the Christmas invasion and invasion on Christmas. But it's all about the ending, which is really nice. Them having Christmas dinner, which is nice. But the job of introducing the Doctor, as well as that, I think Russell really balances it out quite well. As he has the idea of, let's not make it a Doctor episode. Let's make this episode about Rose, about Mickey, about Jackie, and Harriet Jones, as it kind of switches from those two perspectives. As with Rose and Mickey and Jackie, they are kind of taking care of the Doctor and kind of assessing the situation from their point of view without the help of the Doctor. So the only real help they've got is the fact that Mickey, obviously who in Series 1 is helped by the Doctor to hack into UNIT, they have that perspective. So that's how they know a little bit of what's going on. And they have the TARDIS, which becomes relevant later. It's great that Harriet Jones comes back. I love the gag of, the ongoing gag of Harriet Jones, Prime Minister. Yes, we know who you are. And I love how the joke expands to alien species. That's what really makes the joke. When she goes up to the Sycorax and they go, yes, we know who you are. And then the Daleks later on in the Stolen Earth in Series 4. But, yeah. I've got to say, I really like how this episode starts with the zoom in on Earth, which is pretty much very reminiscent of the beginning to Rose, the first ever episode of the revival. As well as that, the one thing I like is the way this episode challenges Rose. As Rose has met the Doctor. She doesn't know too much about him. She just knows he's a Time Lord. She doesn't know what Time Lord to do. She knows nothing about regeneration. And the Doctor only briefly explains it, and then it happens. It's a big shock to anyone who wouldn't know anything. And it's the way it kind of... I've got some similarity. I see some similarities with Rose's reaction to Clara's reaction. The whole, I've got some quotes here. So, I thought I knew him, and then she says, the Doctor's gone, when she's, crying into Jackie's arms because, he's just pathetically in bed and not saving anyone, and he's a different man. It would shock you, wouldn't it? If, you knew someone and then suddenly they just completely changed. But yeah, introducing the Doctor with older characters just kind of gives the audience the kind of helping hand with this massive change. There's obviously at this point, this is the first regeneration story for years on TV. I'm not going to count the TV movie because like it wasn't part of a run. So the first time a Doctor change had happened since Time in the Rani in 1987. So yeah, 18 years. So massive, massive change. As well, you've got the robot Santas, which come back in the next in the next Christmas special. I don't know. It's Christmassy, but I kind of find them a bit like just funny in a way, because they're just they didn't have to dress up as Santas. They could have just dressed up as people, but no, the pilot fish, the robots who are for hire, dressed up as Santas because, yeah, screw it, got to be thematic. The one thing I don't get about that scene where Rose and Mickey are attacked by the robot Santas is that they're kind of looking at the two of them, and Rose just keeps looking back at them like as if she thinks, oh, they might be up for something, until they start shooting. I'm like, she has no reason to think that. Like, think about it, she just got back on Earth. Why would she just be like... But I guess maybe she's like on red alert because the Doctor's on and whatnot, but you never know. Obviously, one thing I will say, I love the killer tree scene. I think it's hilarious. For such a dangerous, imminent scene where there's no Doctor for the majority of it, and they're getting attacked by this tree, which is great. And I love the way they portray how destructive it is by Mickey putting a chair in front of it and it's just like destroying it, and then the tree-shaped hole it leaves in the wall is pretty cool, where you just see all the insulation pouring out. The resolution to the killer tree, which is just the Doctor sonicking it and it blowing up. I'm like, don't know if the Sonic should be able to do that, but okay, plot reasons, fine. Sometimes I can just be okay with some things like that, just to get the plot being quicker. I really like that scene when the Doctor wakes up after that and explaining stuff, as you can see his character fleshing out a bit, because he's suddenly for the first time awake, and he's just there he talks about the whole pilot fish, and he's already, the first thing he does without saying a word is pointing the Sonic at them and threatening them, which really shows that Doctor already there. But you see all of it in that scene where he's panicking and everything, and he's in the middle of panicking, and the great line he has here is when he's just going, I need, and Jackie's just listing and rambling all these things, and he just goes, I need you to shut up. It's just I love it. It's a hilarious line. It's brilliantly performed by Camille Cajuri and David Tennant. It's fantastic. As well, I love how even in this scene, you've already got the elements of the 10th Doctor, how easily distracted he gets when he's just in the middle of rambling about how, dangerous it is that he's up and, you've woke me up too soon, I'm still regenerating all this, and then he just goes, oh, I've got an apple in my dressing gown. And he starts talking to Jackie about it. I love that little bit, because that's exactly what he's like. But, one thing I do as well is when Mickey starts looking into Unit, as they're getting the transmission directly to them from the Sycorax. Rose mentions the TARDIS translation circuits and the fact they're not working, which is great because it's foreshadowing how the resolution of the actual story, which is pretty clever. As well, because the normal viewer maybe wouldn't have noticed the fact that the aliens aren't speaking English, which they usually do in Doctor Who, and it makes it that much better when suddenly they are towards the end. As well, Harriet Jones in this episode starts talking about Torchwood, and this is where the seeds of Torchwood will really start getting planted. And the thing is, this episode, for David Tennant's first episode, it sets up a lot for the rest of his run. If I list it off, it sets up Torchwood. It sets up his hand getting cut off, which that's pretty important later on. It also sets up, the conflict with Harriet Jones at the end comes back to bite him in Stolen Earth. And also the fact that he deposes Harriet Jones leads to the Master coming in. So, so much here is relevant to his whole arc. But yeah, just to sidetrack, I really like how whenever you see shots of London and you see shots of Big Ben, it's under construction, which is just nice, just the continuity of this series. It's very, very well done, very self-contained. It's not no contradictions or anything, which I think is probably from Russell, who's kind of realised you know, he's grown up with like things like the unit dating controversy and just gone, let's just not do stuff like that, because for fans that's just a real annoyance. But yeah, when we get towards the meat of this story, where the Sycorax have arrived and they've caused people to go on the side of the buildings with blood control of the A positives. It's really nice to see how Rose immediately takes charge. She sees that, you know, everything's going wrong. The spaceship's there, and they go, right, do you know what? Screw it. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the Doctor into the TARDIS. We're going to go into the TARDIS. It's the only place to be safe. She's immediately taken charge, gone, I want to protect us. If I can't, look, I can't save the planet because the Doctor's not here, but what I can do is save us. And that's just a really good character moment for her in this story. And yeah, it really does her some good. When we go to the Sycorax set, I must say it looks amazing. It's probably just some sort of cave, and then they've kind of CGI'd it to make it look like massive on the inside, where you just have all the obviously CGI'd billions of or thousands of Sycorax. But it just looks so amazing. It's very well stylized, and it's it's very good. It's such a unique idea for a spaceship, just a giant rock, but that's the kind of thing you go for Doctor Who for. It's not all flashy. It's just this giant rock which somehow flies, and there's no explanation as to how. It just does. Another thing as well, there's this list. There's so much foreshadowing in Russell stories. Last time I reviewed one was Midnight, and there was so much foreshadowing to the conclusion of the story very early on. But when Jackie gets into the TARDIS and goes, here we are, nice cup of tea, Rose's immediate line is like a sarcastic response going, oh yeah, the solution to everything, which is just like, well, it is. It's what wakes up the Doctor, obviously. Now, here's the thing. When the TARDIS leaves with Mickey and Rose, as they get picked up by the Sycorax, and Jackie's left on her own, while watching it back, I could not help but think of Broke Cannon. As in one of Davis's videos, I'll try and find the video and link it up there. There's some sort of small mini-sode or mini-story which is written up where in this gap where Jackie's on her own, the third Doctor, Mike Yates, and Joe Grant just appear out of nowhere, and they defeat the Master. Roger Delgado's Master, to be precise. And she like looks at, and she thinks like the Doctor's regenerated again, and she thinks Joe Grant and Mike Yates are the regenerated Rose and Mickey. And I just love that kind of thing. And it's really, I just laughed when I got to that point, because I just laughed because it's just great. And I'm glad I've I don't know if this is the first time I've mentioned Broke Cannon, but I love Broke Cannon. I mean, he's definitely not watching this, Davis, but I will put it up. I just realised I think I've pointed to the wrong side of the screen. I think I should point there. Yeah, I'll point there. That's where the link will come up. But anyway, when they're up there, Rose and Mickey into the spaceship, obviously they meet Harriet Jones, and already two people have died, the Major and the man who put up the rover, or the satellite or whatever. And Rose has to speak for Earth because she has the TARDIS. And I did always find it a little bit cringy when I was a little kid watching that scene. But at the end of the day, when you think about it in context, she has to be very brave. She's been told, she doesn't choose to speak for Earth. She's told you have to because it's the TARDIS, because she has the TARDIS. But she just does what any person in her situation would do, and just lists off everything she's seen in Series 1 to kind of express some knowledge of like space. And she's very brave, and she knows her life is completely on the line. And, if it wasn't for the Doctor coming out after this, she probably does get assassinated. Well, not assassinated, that's not the phrase, but just straight up killed. But as the, lead Sycorax is talking to her, and is just talking about like how funny everything is, and how he's going to kill her. When it suddenly changes to English, it's such a good scene, because slowly you get the realisation of all of the characters going, that's English. Do you hear English? He's definitely talking English. And then it gives the viewer time to, because it's not explaining it to the viewer, it's giving the viewer time to notice and go, that means that. And in most scenarios, I'd imagine the viewer realises quickly, I know what that means. And then the shot of you seeing Rose realising, and then you see Rose turn around, and the shot just goes forward towards the TARDIS. I didn't check who it's directed by, but massive credit to whoever directed the episode. It's a really nice shot, and then you see David Tennant open the doors, or the 10th Doctor open the doors, and he just absolutely kills it from the second he steps out of the TARDIS. I mean, it's iconic line after iconic line. I was watching this and I was like quoting everything as it was happening. It was brilliant. Just the second he steps out of those doors, he's the Doctor, 100%. I'm won over. His, I just love how he, tests his personality here. As I think it's the best portrayal of a Doctor trying to understand who they are after regeneration, as instantly he's just like saying things on the spot and going, hold on, why am I doing that? As he goes, oh, you, Rose Tyler, you gave up on me, and goes, oh, that's rude. And it's just like, he's questioning everything he does, and he's looking at everything, and he's kind of, the way he's like so, filled with adrenaline, walking around going, okay, like he's looking at everything, wondering what he should think about it and everything, and then he finally sees the big red button and goes, that's who I am. Love that. And what I find funny, but also I really like, is that, as soon as the Doctor's out of the TARDIS, you feel completely safe. And as soon as the Doctor's out, he sums up everything that's happened so far within about 3 minutes. He just goes, oh yeah, this is blood control, isn't it? Oh, okay, I'll just click the button. Oh, that's it, they're saved. Brilliant. He's just so simple. And it makes you think, if the Doctor was awake for this entire plot, how long would this invasion have lasted? About like an hour maybe? Not like the entire, like not like pretty much a whole day. But yeah, the one thing I do like is the line before he clicks the button. He says, I don't know how to stop. That's what he says, and I'm like, that sums up his character very well. Towards the end, when you see things like Waters of Mars towards the end of his run. I think a lot of his early episodes, and I think in the next Christmas special as well, there's a lot of foreshadowing to how his character grows and what ends up as towards the end. Obviously, we have the sword fight as well, where he loses his hand, as I've already mentioned. Big foreshadowing there. That definitely becomes an important part later on, in two ways. The one thing I will say is the way he wins the sword fight is brilliant. Because it's such a good... It's not something you notice on first viewing, just watching it. You just go, oh, he won. But the fact that he wins, not by fighting him by the sword end, by the handle end, he jabs him with that, so he doesn't stab him. He just injures him, which is a great Doctor moment, because it's like, no, I don't want to kill him. Saying that, that's his first chance. He gives him his first chance, and he goes, yeah, fine, I'm going to let you live. And then he, decides to attack the Doctor, and he defeats the villain and kills the lead Sycorax by chucking a Satsuma at the button. And I don't know how the Doctor knows that button will just get rid of a tiny platform, but I don't care. As well, there is a really nice Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy reference here. As when the Doctor talks about Satsumas before he chucks it, he goes, oh, I've just won the... I think he says, like, oh, not bad for a man in his gym jams. And then he goes, very off den. And he says, oh, now that's a nice man. Which means, not only has he referenced Hitchhiker's Guide, Hitchhiker's Guide, according to that scene, is canon to the Doctor Who universe, which would make a lot of sense, as one of the Hitchhiker's Guide books, I think, was originally intended by Douglas Adams to be one of his Doctor Who episodes, and then it became a Hitchhiker's book. Just everything here is so iconic. The whole "no second chances" line, fantastic, and the ending of Harriet Jones, just the 6 words that destroy her government. And then towards the end of the episode, there's already been a vote of no confidence in like the space of like an hours. It's probably like, I don't know, like 3 p.m. or 2 p.m. I don't know. I don't really know what the time is, but I'd imagine it's like noon at least, or 1 p.m. in the day when the doctors said the 6 words to Harriet Jones, and then at night or maybe not night because it's winter, but maybe like 5 p.m. I don't know at the time, but they're having Christmas dinner. And she's had a vote of no confidence. I'm like, okay, so the Doctor could just take over, just destroy every government if he felt like it. Which really makes me think he really could have solved Children of Earth very easily. But that's a story for another day. Going off after that, one thing I love the Christmas songs that they use in the first 3 specials. They obviously, I don't know if they don't do one for Next Doctor, and they don't do one for End of Time. But the song for 10, which was what it's called. I love it, and I was singing along to it. I really like it. The TV version's a lot better because obviously on the albums it's done differently, but I really like that one. But also, when the Doctor's picking out his costume, if you look at the other costumes, you'll spot some little references. There must be other ones that I've missed because I can only find 3. But when he's first looking at costumes, you can see in the background there's a scarf, which is clearly Tom Baker's scarf, and then in the massive CGI wide shot with spiraling stairs and everything, I can spot clear as day. I can spot Stephen's costume, obviously the first Doctor companion, and also I think I can spot the Fifth Doctor's hat. That's the only things I could spot. There must be tons of other stuff, I think, but it's just really good. I love this story. And one of the final lines of the 10th Doctor in this episode is calling back the 9th Doctor, saying, and it is going to be fantastic. Just really nice. Just that little drop to kind of respect the actor which has come before, which is really nice. But I love this story. I think it's great. It's really it's a real easy rewatch, and I think most of New Who is, or at least the RTD era. And I love this era of the show. I really do. And if I had to give this out of 10, I'd give it a 7.5, which for me is just a very, very good episode. Just lovely to watch. It's an hour long. It doesn't feel too long or too short. It feels just right. I was shocked an hour had gone by, to be honest. But it was a very good episode. I was drawn in from the start, and you could say this is the first proper experimentation of a Dr. Light episode. But, I don't know if many people would argue that, but I think it's a brilliant episode. I love Russell T Davies, as I've mentioned before. I think he's a fantastic writer. And I just love this, and it's the beginning of a brilliant era of the show. But I think that's it of this review. So, comment below what you think of this story. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you have mixed feelings about it? Just list it all down. Please subscribe if you're not subscribed. I'd really appreciate it. Like the video, please. That'd be really nice. Ding the bell for notifications so you can be notified when I'm next uploading. As well, I've got an Instagram, which is at @the_board_Whovian, which is also attached to my YouTube channel. It's on the About page, I think. I don't know where to locate it, but yeah, it should be somewhere there. The link to my Instagram. And yeah, that is about it, I assume. So, this has been day 2 of my 14 Days of Doctor Who. And yeah, I've been the Bored Whovian, and I'll see you around. Merry Christmas.